Z.ai just dropped GLM-5 Turbo, a brand new model built specifically for OpenClaw agent workflows. NotebookLM Cinematic Video Overviews are rolling out to pro users, and Karpathy just released a tool that scored every job in America on AI replacement risk and completely broke the internet. So let's get into it. So Z.ai just dropped something that OpenClaw users specifically are going to want to know about. They just announced GLM-5 Turbo, and this one is a bit different from the standard GLM-5 because it was built from the ground up specifically for OpenClaw style workflows. It's not just compatible with it or tested on it, the whole model was optimized for it from the training phase. Now, if you haven't been following Z.ai, they're the company behind the GLM model family, also known as Zhipu.ai, a Chinese AI lab that spun out of the Tsinghua University. They went public in Hong Kong back in January and raised over $500 million, and then in February, they launched GLM-5, which became arguably the strongest open source model in the world at that time. 744 billion parameters, mixture of experts architecture, an MIT license, and benchmark scores that had it competing directly with Cloud Opus 4.5 on coding and agent tasks. It was a big deal when it launched. But the full GLM-5 is a heavy model, and when you're running something like OpenClaw, which is constantly calling tools, decomposing instructions, managing long-running tasks across multiple steps, what you really want is something optimized for that loop specifically. That's exactly what Turbo is. Z.ai describes it as a Claw bench enhanced model, which basically means it was benchmarked and tuned on OpenClaw specific task types from day one. So what actually got improved? 4 things stand out in the docs. First is tool calling. They say Turbo has more stable and reliable tool invocation and multi-step tasks, so you're getting fewer failures when the model is chaining through complex sequences. Second, instruction following. Better ability to decompose complicated layered instructions and coordinate across multiple agents. Third, scheduled and persistent tasks. This is interesting. The model has a better understanding of time-based requirements and can maintain execution continuity on tasks that run for a long time without losing context or going off the rails. And fourth, what they call high throughput long chains. For tasks with a lot of data moving through them and long logical chains, Turbo is specifically faster and more stable than the base model. All 4 of those things are exactly the bottlenecks you hit when you're actually using OpenClaw in production. The context window is 200,000, same as the full GLM-5, and the maximum output is 128,000 tokens. It supports thinking mode, function calling, streaming, MCP tool integration, structured output, and context caching. So capability-wise, it's fully featured. This isn't a stripped-down version, it's a laterally optimized model. Now for the rollout, pro users on Z.ai's coding plan are getting GLM-5 Turbo this month in March, light users get the base GLM-5 in March, and then Turbo follows in April. And if you want early access before your tiers roll out, they've opened up an application form through their docs. If you're already running OpenClaw and you want to switch to Turbo right now, Z.ai actually published the exact configuration steps. You go into your OpenClaw.json file, add the GLM-5 Turbo model entry to your providers array, then update your agents.default model.primary to point to Z.ai GLM-5 Turbo instead of GLM-5. After that, just restart the gateway with OpenClaw Gateway Restart and you're good. They're also recommending setting GLM 4.7 as a fallback in case of any availability issues, which is a smart setup to have anyway. Bottom line, if you're an OpenClaw user, this is probably the model you want running in that environment going forward. The base GLM-5 is the powerhouse, but Turbo is the one that was specifically built for this use case. Quick update on something I actually covered on this channel already, NotebookLM Cinematic Video Overviews. When I made that video, the feature had just launched and it was locked behind Google AI Ultra, which is their $250 a month plan. Now, Google has started rolling it out to pro users, so if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for this one, your time is coming now. If you missed the original video, here's the quick recap. Google launched Cinematic Video Overviews on March 4th as a full replacement for what used to be narrated slides in NotebookLM. The old version would basically take your documents and slap together 12 to 15 slides with an AI voiceover on top. It was functional, but nothing really special. The new cinematic mode is a completely different product. It pulls together Gemini 3, Veo 3, and their Nano Banana Pro model to generate actual animated videos from your source material, not a slideshow or a template, a real video with fluid animations, narration, visual storytelling, the whole thing. Google describes Gemini as acting like a creative director, making hundreds of decisions about narrative structure, pacing, visual style, and scene layout. You drop in your PDFs, your research notes, your docs, and it figures out the best way to turn that into a video. You can prompt it with specific things like, make this a 3-minute explainer for a non-technical audience, or just let it run on one click and see what it produces. And the results from what people have been showing are genuinely impressive. Early testers were running 40-page research documents through it and saying the pacing and narration came out scarily good. That's not nothing. That's the kind of output that would have taken hours of editing work to produce manually. So the news today is that Google is now rolling this out to pro users. My full breakdown of exactly how that works and what the output looks like and who it's actually useful for is already up on the channel. I'll link it in the description. Go watch that if you want the deep dive. But if you're a pro subscriber, keep an eye out on your NotebookLM Studio panel because this is something you definitely want to test. So Andrej Karpathy just dropped something today that has absolutely blown up on social media. He built a tool that scores every single job in America on how likely it is to be replaced by AI on a scale of 0 to 10. And the conversation it sparked has gotten really interesting really fast. Here's what he actually built. He scraped all 342 occupations listed in the US Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook, fed each one into a large language model with a detailed scoring rubric, and then built an interactive tree map to visualize the results. In the visualization, the size of each rectangle represents how many people actually work in that job, and the color represents how exposed that job is to AI. So you can look at the whole US job market at once and immediately see where the risk is concentrated. The scoring breakdown is what people are reacting to. At the bottom of the scale, 0 to 1, you got roofers, janitors, plumbers, construction workers, jobs where you fundamentally cannot do the work from a laptop. In the middle 4 to 5, you got nurses, retail workers, physicians, jobs with a mix of digital and physical components. Then at 8 to 9, you got software developers, paralegals, data analysts, jobs that are almost entirely screen-based and information-driven. And at a perfect 10, medical transcriptionist, a job that is essentially just converting audio to text, which AI already does extremely well. The overall average across all 342 occupations came out to 5.3 out of 10. Karpathy's key insight for the scoring was pretty simple. If your entire work product is digital and you could theoretically do your job from a home office, your exposure is inherently high. That's the pattern that keeps repeating across the high-scoring jobs. Now here's where it gets interesting. The tool went viral. Elon Musk replied saying all jobs will be optional, there will be universal high income, which is either the most optimistic take or the most naive one depending on where you stand. The Uber founder also weighed in, predicting that in the automated world, plumbers could make LeBron-like money because the physical trades becomes the scarce commodity. And apparently, searches for how to become a plumber spiked dramatically in the last 24 hours, which tells you exactly how people are processing this. Karpathy himself called it a casual 2-hour project and actually pulled it off online at some point because of misinterpretation spreading across it. But forks of the project kept it alive, so the data is still out there circulating. The whole pipeline is open source, the BLS scraping, the LLM scoring rubric, the visualization, all of it is public if you want to dig into the methodology yourself. The thing worth actually thinking about here is the employment volume piece, which the tree map makes very visible. The safest jobs, the trades, the physical labor, tend to employ fewer people in total. The biggest blocks on the map, the highest employment jobs like office clerks, customer service reps, and cashiers, sit right in the moderate to high exposure range between 5 and 7. So even if AI doesn't eliminate those roles outright, the argument is that one person with AI tooling starts doing what 3 people did before, and that's where the real workforce math gets uncomfortable. Worth keeping an eye on where this conversation ends up going. But that's it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, follow the world of AI, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. We post constantly and you don't want to miss this. I'll see you guys in the next one.